Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Borealis Arctic Expeditions from Lucky Duck Games. Borealis is a 1 to 4 player game of collecting sets of animals while trying to balance multiple scoring criteria, as well as, of course, how cute the animal cards are and when you want an animal card, regardless of the points it gives you. Before we dive into this channel is sponsored by Allplay, more with them at the end of the video. With that said, in Borealis, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be playing animal cards in 2 lanes on your personal player board. This over here is my personal player board. This is the card reserve. These are scoring goals. To be clear, these are for all players. I just have them set up next to my board, but these are relevant to all players in the game. What you're going to do is on your turn, you're going to go ahead and play a card. So for example, I'm going to take this card over here because it's going to move my blue scientist to the right as well. Well, there's actually a few things I'm doing over here, but let's go ahead and start off. Let's move these a little bit out of view over here. I'm realizing to not leave myself enough space. We're going to place this down over there. That card is going to go into my grid. And now because that vehicle type over here is the first one in this grid, meaning if I look at this box that has 2 vehicle types, that is one of those vehicle types, I will move my flag down 1. That's going to be helpful because at the end of the game, you're going to get points for however far you got in each of the 3 lanes. So it'll give you a bunch of points. So try to match the vehicle type to the flag, to the area that you're playing the card into. Then you're going to do whatever scientist movement is necessary for the card. In this case, I'm going to move a pink scientist that way and a blue scientist that way. When you're done with that, you're going to go ahead and draw a card. Let me see if there's anything that's particularly good. You know what? I want another one of these because I want to go further in this column, but I'm also going to be playing this in this column. So maybe I'm going to go ahead and draw this one. Okay, we're going to draw this card into my hand and put a new card into display. That's basically a turn. Play a card, draw a card, and just do all the things related to playing a card. As far as why you're trying to do all this, is going to be a bunch of things that score you points. The first thing is you're going to get points for however far you move each flag. That's helpful in its own right. You're going to get points at the end of the game for whichever scoring cards you have. Right now I have Popular Vehicle, 2 points for each card with my most common vehicle type, so maybe I should lean heavily into the skis. There's a bunch of them in this display over here. Or I do Farewell Party. You can do both of these cards over here to be clear. 2 points for each scientist in the location of your choice at the end of the game. There's going to be 3 core locations plus 2 camps. You choose a single location with the most scientists in the game and get a whole bunch of points for having your scientists all in one area. These cards over here are going to be first come, first serve. These are going to give you different goals. For example, speaking of scientists, have all 3 scientists of a chosen color, so all my green, all my yellow, pink, or blue scientists in camps. So have all of that one color in camps, and when that happens, you immediately get the 5 points on this, and other players have this round to also achieve it, or they lose the opportunity to do so. So once one player achieves one of these goals, everyone can get it in the same round, and after the round's over, no one else can get it. Those are going to be the main other scoring things you get, but you also have sets of animals. In each area, you're going to be scoring up to 7 cards. Playing 7 cards in a column triggers the end of the round, triggers the end of the game. That's going to be how far you move on this track, although you won't necessarily move every single time you play a card. And then over here, for each animal in that area, you're going to score based on how many you have. So for example, if you get all 7 of a type in an area, that's 21 points. But if you only have 4 of a type, that's going to be 6 points, and you score for each set. So for example, with my next play, I would play over here. I specifically set up this move. This is a double scientist move. This also gives me a single point. That's a point on that card. And I'm going to move 1 scientist into a camp, and then 1 scientist that away. And then because it has the matching vehicle, I'll move that down. Then I'll go ahead and draw up. And you know what? I think I will go ahead and do what I said. I'm going to draw this card and then draw a new one. Keeping in mind, obviously, right now I'm just doing 1 player, which means you don't get to see the actual market refresh from other players' turns. Then I'm going to play this over here. I'm going to move those 2 scientists, 1 that away, 1 that away. You do have to have scientists in order to play a card. That's a requirement. Versus the vehicle, you don't have to. So right now, for example, I don't have the vehicle matching, so I will not move up. On the other hand, I am working my way towards skis, which can be helpful because of that one over there. Which means at that point, I'll go ahead and draw this card for my next card to start leaning into those wolves and seeing how that will reward me. For my next turn, I'll go ahead and play one over here, and then I'll move one of these scientists that away, and then one of these scientists that away. And then over here, I will be able to move this again down 1 while working towards my sets of skis in the game. That's basically what you're doing. The last thing to note is on your turn, you can also do a refresh turn. You pull back your scientists from the camps, you put them into a single destination of your choice, you get that many point tokens, and you can discard however many cards you want from your hand before drawing back up from the deck. It's also worth noting in general when you draw, you could draw from the top of the deck instead. That is how you play Borealis. On your turn, you either play a card, and then you go ahead and carry out the scientist movement, move your token down, get whatever points you're doing there, or you take a refresh turn, in which case you're going to move your scientist back to a single location of your choice and draw back up, and in either case you're drawing back up to 4 cards. Rinse and repeat until someone has played their 7th card in a column, finish the round, and see who scored the most points from the goals at the end of the game, their in-game points, the goals they got in-game and the point tokens they got for it, their columns and how far they got with their flags, and then for each area of the animals they have, let's just go ahead and build a sample column for you so you can see how something like that might score. If we had another wolf over here and another wolf and another wolf over here, and then we had, let's say, 3 penguins. In this column right here, we'd have 4 of one type and 3 of another. That means we would get 6 points and 3 points for that. Obviously, focusing on one particular animal will give you a bunch more points, but there's always that trade-off of, do you have the card? Does it match the vehicle? Can you play the scientist? All of that balancing act. With that, let's go ahead and dive into my review of what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, and I'll say this game surprised me. I was not expecting a lot from this. I like point scoring optimization games. I like games where you're just trying to balance multiple scoring criteria, and it's up to you to figure out the best way to do so. I really enjoy that genre. But I'll start with, the art is very cutesy. I love the art, the little, like, you know, Arctic animals. In general, the cards genuinely are cute, and you want that little puffin to add to your mix. I like the card art. That's all nice. But the actual gameplay is both incredibly light as far as the teachability of the game. This is the kind of game you can get people up and running in 5 minutes, which is it gives you a satisfying 40 to 45 minute game. I think it's in the boxes, 45 minutes, that checks out. It gives you a 45-minute game with a 5-minute teach, and lets you a lot of the fun of the card art and playing them into your tableau. But then there's the crunchiness of the scoring. The game is surprisingly crunchy as far as weighing up the opportunity cost of everything you do, because everything is fun. Do you want to go for, like, I mean, the scoring cards over here, this scoring card, getting the more points for each vehicle of your most common type, suddenly that changes the entire math of these grids. Think about it this way. At the end of this column over here, you get a maximum of 15 points for 7 cards. If I try to maybe get like maybe 2 of the skis over here and then skip on the rest, I can still get up to over here while getting a chunk of extra points. There's a lot you can do by just trying to lean into the scoring cards and the pathways they are going to give you over the default scoring. There's the opportunity cost of every single action you play. Are you trying to get that perfect card? Do you have the scientist in the right location? Are you trying to set yourself up for the in-game scoring to get those objectives before the other players do? This is a denial game. Getting these is not just 5 points for you. If you get them faster than the players, you deny those players 5 points. That's a nice swing in points in a game that could be fairly close as players are trying to balance everything. So there's the animal variety, there's the scoring card conditions, there's the scientist placement, and then there's a whole bunch of variable goals. There's a decent amount of goals. I always like having more goals, but there's a decent amount of goals. So this game ends up being very crunchy while being very simple as far as how it actually plays. So it plays quickly, teaches quickly, and gives you a great amount of decision space in the game, and the variability of the goals. I love variability in these kinds of games, having different goals. It's not just about the individual game and how that's crunchy, it's also about how each game changes up the way you're going to focus on it. If you have, like right now we have 3 goals relating to scientists, that totally changes the importance of the scientists in the structure versus having a bunch of goals that reward you for animals. This one has 6 animal cards in a location. That's great, that's helpful. Do you want to go all the way to 7? How are you playing that? Everything here is a balance, and how you approach that balance is surprisingly satisfying. As far as what I don't like in the game, first of all, players can rush the end game, because as much as I say it's a 40 to 45 minute game, if a player just tries to rapidly build 7 cards in one column, they could rush the end game, and especially if they got a goal or 2 along the way, it can even be strategically the right move. It's for a player to rush endgame if they are ahead on points, and if it undercuts your strategy. It's the one area of the game where it usually this game's more about what you're doing and how it builds up your tableau, but if you are trying to play this a little bit cutthroat, to a certain degree you want to pay attention to what the players are doing, pay attention to the points, and then rush endgame. So I don't just like that it can happen, I dislike the fact that it can be a viable strategy, which I don't love. And then I'll say outside the variable goals that keep things different, outside of those, the game direction is a little samey. There is an A side and a B side to the board. A side is everyone the same, B side is a little different, but it doesn't feel meaningfully different. It doesn't matter if I have the same board as you or not. Even though it's technically a difference, the gameplay feeling is the same. So I will say that the goals are the main thing keeping the variability here. I would love to see more added. Like, this is the kind of game where I already want an expansion, because I could see, once I've played through all the goals and seen it all, maybe it starts to lose some of its luster. So the core engine is very straightforward and samey, but it's still pretty crunchy, and the goals do mix things up. As far as I can see others not liking, it can be AP prone, analysis paralysis. This is a game where I've seen people overanalyze. It still is a 45-minute game, but it's a 45-minute game with a few long turns as players like sit there and go, okay, well, I need to order, because like you're looking at your hand of cards, and it gets a little better the more you play it. Like the first game is very different than your third or fourth game, but as you start looking at your cards, you're like, okay, I need to play this card, I need to play this in this column, that means I need the blue scientist there, but I need to play that there first, and I need to draft those cards. You could have those turns where somebody's just trying to overthink the exact sequence of how to play things out, and especially if they're paying attention to other players and if they might end the game early, so it can be a little analysis paralysis prone with a few slow turns here and there. And then also, sometimes you're stuck with no good plays for what you're trying to do. Like there is definitely some degree of luck. If I'm working my way towards wolves or whatnot, towards a column full of wolves for those 21 points, and if the wolves aren't coming out, or if wolves are coming out, but I don't have any yellow scientists here and I need wolves with yellow scientists, occasionally in this game, it doesn't happen most of the time, but I have had turns where I'm just like a little stuck and I just have to like go fishing effectively, which go fishing is like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and pop one scientist back to a camp, discard my whole hand, draw, discard my whole hand, I'm angry too, and draw back up to 4 cards before diving into it. Sometimes you can be a little stuck on the plays, and that's not a fun moment in a game that's otherwise full of fun moments. As far as final thoughts on Borealis Arctic Expeditions, I really enjoy this. It is definitely a little on the lighter side overall, but it's on the lighter side with a nice degree of crunchy depth. This is one of those games that's a great gateway into a little bit more. Games like Cascadia, games like Borealis, they give you just a little bit more to think about, a little more crunchy decision space, and it does all that while being very easy to teach and pretty on the eyes. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. It's simple yet crunchy, with variability from the goals. It is the kind of thing that I do wonder if that score might go up over time, but I also, whenever I have games like this, I'm always, where will they end up for me? But it's an easy 4 out of 5, at least for right now. I've enjoyed this one a lot. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Fairy Ring if you're looking for another game that's on that lightweight side and appeal, very, very visually easy to get into, but it has a lot of depth to the actual experience you're playing. And also Trekking Through History. If you like stacking cards and you want something that's a little bit on the simpler side, like kind of same general genre, but a little on the simpler side as far as the strategy, Trekking Through History is another one with card columns and trying to get your cards in the right sequence for you. And then I mentioned that Allplay is a channel sponsor. If you go to allplay.com, you can find games both from Allplay themselves as well as partner publishers. Check out Waddle if you're looking for a game that's also very cutesy looking, but a lot of depth to it. Very different gameplay, but thematically it's in the same Arctic theme, and it's also in that cute looking yet actually very crunchy genre. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.